You've spent hours building your world, maybe even weeks. You've crafted timelines, ancient wars, elven genealogy, and your players? Well, they skimmed over your 12-page document and said, "Cool. Where's the nearest blacksmith?" If this sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone. Today we're talking about how to stop overwhelming your players with lore dumps and start getting your world into their heads through play. Hey everyone, I'm Sean. I like tabletop role-playing games. I've been a game master and player for years and play all different kinds of genre and settings and mechanics. I actually stream here at 8 a.m. Central Time every Saturday and talk about some topic of discussion as well as what's coming out in print and crowdfunding and industry news. I hope to have you join the chat where you'll be a part of that. But you'll never know when I go live, so make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. Getting into lore dumps. Why do game masters do it? Well, sometimes we take on the role of game master because we love world building. We often cite it in our updates on social media, talking about the new things that we're presenting and the details of what we're coming up with. It's a little bit of control, it's the detail, it's the love of the world. There's nothing wrong with that. Excitement and ambition and, it's great stuff. Many of us have come up with tons of information and lore about our worlds and over even years, maybe even decades. And then we put it into books and then we put it out on crowdfunding campaigns in order to share that information with those that will appreciate it. And there's many that do. Don't get me wrong. In this video, we're talking about players that may not have the same level of enthusiasm about digesting all of that lore. So why do players skip it? Well, it's probably time, it's the lack of context, and it's information without impact. Some players may say, if I wanted to read a textbook, I'd go back to high school and history class and just inject dragons. Or sometimes players may even say, if I wanted this amount of information, I would just go read a novel. But the reality is that players don't need to know everything. Their characters likely wouldn't know every other detail as well. Just think of the real world we live in. There's tons of information we really don't know. Now, granted, we have an internet and all that.
Access to some of the most information we've ever had as human beings on this third rock from the sun, but
you know what I'm saying. World building is not world showing. It's not the same. Player characters only need what's relevant right now, probably in that specific game session. Well, what are some alternatives to simply putting out a 30-page or providing a setting book of 300 pages or more in order for the players to digest and know? Well, make it through in-world discovery. Show lore in action. Ruins, books, NPCs talking about events. The second one could be player-driven curiosity. Let players ask questions and uncover info naturally. Another method of alternative to lore dumping is environmental storytelling. As we adventure through a world, the player characters will come across specific types of architecture, writings, customs, even slang. Do more showing than telling. And the fourth one, recurring themes and symbols. Reinforce a few key ideas across multiple sessions. If there's a particular symbol that the player characters tend to come across, maybe it's a brooch in the shape of the symbol, and it may not be anything pertinent at first, but then they go into the town and then the town over from there, and all of a sudden there's another individual that they see in a tavern that's wearing the same brooch and the same symbol, but it's not the same NPC that they saw a couple days earlier. So what does that mean? The players inherently start to ask questions about what it is. Maybe it's the same brooch that one of the bandits wore that they encountered on the road that, things didn't go so well. So what are some practical tips on providing lore within your tabletop role-playing game? Well, the first one could be the rule of 3. Limit world facts to 3 digestible points per session or handout. Make them easy to read, easy to store, easy to reference. And with that will come easy to remember. The lore vault. Keep your deep lore to yourself as a game master, but leak it out as needed. As they start to encounter different non-player characters, do research, investigate certain things. Even when they're in a dungeon that may not even be full of, human interaction or NPC interaction, there could be things that they come across in different rooms that allow you as the game master to provide more information and more lore about your world. Provide player handouts that don't suck. One-pagers might be a little bit too long, but, 3 bullets, maybe it's a letter to somebody. Visual maps are also great handouts, or even gossip from the locals, rumors that they hear in the inn. And many times, game masters and player characters, if they've played long enough, it's pretty common to provide those, and they're usually a sentence or two long. But in those sentences or those little blurbs from the locals can provide a lot of rich information, even though it's short and succinct. And then lastly, do some pre-game summary emails or session recaps with tiny nuggets of lore built in. In my game for Outcast Silver Raiders, and even with many that my friend Harrigan runs for us, he'll have us do a recap at the beginning of each session. Through that, we'll bring up some of the details we came across, obviously, in the previous session, but it's also an opportunity for him to correct us or even elaborate on some of the details we might have missed or glossed over, which is great. It's a perfect opportunity to be able to do that and inject it without getting too crazy and, hey, if you would have referenced page 110 on the 360-page campaign setting that I gave you, you would have known this. And remember, that was covered in the last session. Well, we don't have to reference that. We could just do it right in the moment. But as game masters, it's always a balance. How do we know we've given enough without giving way too much? After all, isn't more information better? Sometimes, but not always. If players are asking questions, then great. You've got them hooked. How do you know if you've given enough information about the world? Well, you could start out actually pretty small and expand from there. So what do they know about the immediate area? Who are some of the key players? Who are some of the people that they maybe have grown up with in the same village? What their role is? And then kind of expand upon that. Maybe they've had people come into the village with certain information. Maybe there are tales that are spun from the local wise person that has stories and tales that they've learned throughout the years. And maybe it's true and maybe it's not. We mentioned rumors already. But if the players are asking questions, that's a good thing. They're showing an interest in wanting to know what's going on in their world. You've got them hooked if they're asking questions. It shows that they're interested. If they're not asking questions, well, there's a chance that they probably just don't care. Are the player characters making decisions based on what they don't know? That's also great. It creates mystery. Many times there is something that they have been given, but it's not fully baked. I know to bring up Delta Green in plenty of my videos, but it's an investigative game. So they're always given a brief, but the brief is really, brief. And they don't know all the details. So it's up to them to go and get more information. That's usually a pretty good carrot within a role-playing game anyways. Whether the group is hired to do something or there's a rumor of treasure somewhere off in the distance, if they want to know more, that's a good thing. You don't have to answer everything. Let them want to know more. Let them talk amongst themselves and bounce ideas off of themselves. Have them split the party in order to get more information. Some games actually want to encourage that. Don't answer everything. Let them want to know more. Hopefully, if you've got players that start to garner interest in what's going on through your sessions, there will be questions that need to be answered. And with lore dumps, if you've provided all that information already, then what's the incentive to go through the player character's actions and find out more information? Let them have to go to the library or talk to different non-player characters. That's a great opportunity for you as the game master to provide them not only what's at stake and what's immediately in front of them, but you can also inject a little bit more lore into the story. But don't get too crazy and don't get too carried away. Because, again, player characters are not going to want to care what's going on thousands and thousands of miles away. They're seeking information for the here and now and what's in front of them. How does your game master or you as the game master handle lore in your game? Put it down below in the comments. Does it work? What tweaks have you made? Maybe you've provided lore in the past and it hasn't worked. Tell us about it so we can all learn from each other. If you like this video, give it a like, and then you can also check out this video, which is on cats, not the meow meow kind. It's the one that's concept, aim, tone, and subject matter that provides a very succinct session 0 where it can set the tone and concept of your game well so that you don't need a lore brick to provide to your player characters. You've already aligned expectations, so check that out when you get a chance. Thanks for watching this video. Much appreciated. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. See ya.